Thank you very much, Chris. I noticed that I made an error. Mahesh had contacted me earlier and said he couldn't be here for the entire meeting, so he was not going to be able to be the general evaluator. I noticed you walked in, and I would ask you to, could you do the evaluation from this point forward, because I neglected to get a second person to do that. I would like to introduce the table topics, which will be brought to us by Brendan O'Brien. And Brendan says about teams, my youth and adult life were filled with feelings of belonging. I've strived to join teams aggressively as a teenager and throughout adulthood, and find confidence from setting an example as part of a team before being pushed into leadership with more confidence. Brendan O'Brien.
Yes, I joined a club at college, and after 3 years, I was basically an honorary leader without even being voted for the position. So, anyway, because I had so much experience and wisdom, they just say, hey, hello, leader. So for the table topics, I'm going to ask questions related to teams, sort of around the theme of teams. But for the first table topics, I'm going to open the floor to Peter Ash, who wants to share a little briefly about some things from his vacation. So please welcome Peter Ash.
We flew back from Florida yesterday, and when I opened my suitcase, I found that it had been examined by the TSA. Fortunately, there were no locks that they had to break, and they repacked it very nicely. I wouldn't have known without their note that they had done this. But in retrospect, I had packed a little bit too audaciously, and I can imagine that looking at some of the items that I had packed, they're on an X-ray machine, they would appear ambiguous. Let me show you. Heating pad or plastic explosive with detonator. Ice pack or more plastic explosives. Device for breaking up muscle problems, or a stick of dynamite. Inflatable meditation cushion, or something more sinister. And what about this? I can imagine them saying, WTF. It's a large rainbow wind spinner for hanging up. So don't be too audacious when you pack it. You don't want to get examined.
Thank you. I think you're part of a safe travel team. So moving on, the first question I will have, and I will try to pick a member who does not have a role before I pick my guest for table topics, and is, do you have an activity that you wish you had joined when you were younger, or would you like to invent a team, a group that? So there were in school there were things like chess club, or you could belong to a church choir, which I consider a kind of a team, or you could be a volunteer in some sort of organization, like volunteering for the Red Cross. My group would have been a geography group, but I don't know how that would work. So I'm going to pick on someone. Pete Fordham, do you have a role?
No.
Would you like to enter that? Is there a club you would like to join, or would you like to vet one that you would join?
I can tell you the club I would have joined, but my mother wouldn't let me. Football. I've been a football fan since I was a kid. I mean, really small. When I was 3 years old, I was running around under the stands. My dad used to take me to games, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Even when I was that little and wasn't watching the game, I had no idea what they were doing. But I've been a football fan since I was a kid, and I was thrilled about the Patriots, and I love those kinds of teams. I'm really big into all the sports teams in Boston. But when I wanted to join Pop Warner, when I was like 8 years old, my mother basically said, over my dead body, are you going to play football? Because I'm not going to let you get hurt. Now, what she didn't know was that for years and years, we used to play tackle football next door. There were 6 kids in my neighborhoods. This was kind of our team. There were 6 boys living within like 4 or 5 houses of each other, and we used to play tackle football every day. And this went on for a long time until I made the mistake of mentioning it to my mother. She's like, "Whoa, what were you doing this morning?" "Oh, we were playing tackle football." "You were what?" This had been going on for years. I was like 12 at that point. We were doing it since we were like 7 or 8. And she went crazy. So that is the team I would have joined, but instead I lived it vicariously, watching all the teams in Boston, including the Patriots. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you. I would like to audaciously ask, would Alex White like to try Table Topics as our new member? My second question, which is one of my favorites, is: have you ever had a teammate that was like a favorite in any activity you've done in life? For example, when I was on the running team, I had runners that were around the same level as I was, and it was very supportive to be able to run with them, and we encouraged each other, and we got better running together. So is there any time in life, in an activity, where you had a friend or a teammate that you relied upon? Alex, would you like to try that one?
Good shot. I'm thinking out loud right now. So, yeah, the question is: was there a team that I was on that I had a teammate that I relied upon, right? I guess I would share. Okay, I guess the thing that comes to mind is I had a friend of mine in high school. I ran cross country in high school, and he was younger than I was, and just by a year, and we both ran cross country, and we were on the varsity team, and I think by partway through the year, he got to be quite good, and surpassed my times in our races, and got to be good friends, but it did become a little friendly competition between us, and so we would actually be, instead of competing against the other teams, we'd be competing against each other. But later on, many years later, we both ended up in the Boston area, and we decided to run a race again, to run again and sign up for a race. And we ended up running a couple of races, including the Mount Washington Road race, and we trained together hard for that, and and worked hard, and got to the point where we both were really relying upon each other to do that and to meet our milestones of completing that race. And we succeeded. We ran it together. We made it through, and we made time, and we strengthened our friendship relationship as a result of that. So that's my experience.
Thank you. I think that was a great round of topics. Got a few different people. I turn it back over to the Toastmaster, Al Davis.
Thank you, Brendan. We now have the speech evaluation for our first speaker.